Are you surprised that the leftist media came out swinging in support of Volodymyr Zelensky after Friday's Oval Office meltdown? I'm not. Hi, I'm Dr. Ken Henry, and this is Conservative Commentary, where we spread the MAGA message. Before we dive in, I'd like to ask you for a favor. Please like, comment, share, and subscribe. This really does help us out. And go to the address in the bottom right corner, youtube.com/@themagamessage, and check out our other videos. The recent Oval Office meeting between President Donald Trump and Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has been portrayed by leftist media outlets as a diplomatic disaster, with the blame squarely placed on the U.S. administration. However, this narrative conveniently ignores key facts and context, revealing a biased attempt to undermine President Trump's efforts to prioritize American interests. Prior to the meeting, President Trump proposed a minerals deal that would have provided Ukraine with substantial U.S. aid in exchange for access to rare earth minerals crucial for various industries. This deal was designed to be mutually beneficial, aiding Ukraine's economy while securing resources vital to the United States. However, influenced by anti-Trump Democrats, Zelensky rejected the deal, leading to heightened tensions during the meeting. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent revealed that Zelensky had twice declined the deal before the Oval Office encounter, indicating a pattern of obstinance. During the meeting, President Trump emphasized the importance of diplomacy and cautioned against actions that could escalate into a broader conflict. He accused Zelensky of gambling with World War III, highlighting the potential global consequences of Ukraine's stance. This perspective underscores the administration's commitment to avoiding unnecessary military entanglements and prioritizing peace. Despite these facts, leftist media outlets have focused on portraying President Trump as antagonistic, ignoring Zelensky's role in the deteriorating diplomatic relations. This selective reporting aligns with a broader agenda to discredit the administration's foreign policy achievements and shift blame away from those who jeopardize global stability. In addition to misrepresenting the Oval Office meeting, leftist media outlets have intensified their criticism by accusing President Trump of echoing Russian talking points and aligning with President Vladimir Putin. This narrative is part of a broader effort to undermine the administration's foreign policy stance and question its commitment to American interests. For instance, Democratic Senator Jack Reed accused President Trump of surrendering to the Russians regarding the Ukraine conflict, following the administration's advocacy for U.S.-Russia negotiations and Trump's remarks toward Ukrainian President Zelensky. Similarly, Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer claimed that Trump was parroting Russian misinformation and propaganda, suggesting an alignment with the Kremlin narratives. These allegations often stem from President Trump's pragmatic approach to foreign policy, which emphasizes diplomacy and strategic negotiations over direct confrontation. By labeling these efforts as capitulation to Russia, critics ignore the administration's broader strategy to maintain global stability and protect American interests. Furthermore, leftist media have highlighted instances where President Trump's statements on Ukraine allegedly mirrored Kremlin rhetoric, implying a deliberate alignment with Russian interests. Such portrayals overlook the complexity of international diplomacy and the necessity of engaging with global powers to achieve sustainable peace. But don't take my word for it. Even Australian television news has noticed it. Take a look at this clip from Sky News Australia, and please share your thoughts in the comments.
Yes, the whole world is talking about the spat in the Oval Office. Was it a setup? Was it not a setup? Who set up who? Was it Zelensky who set up the others? Was it Trump or Vance who set up Zelensky? Who knows? Rita and James, what did you make of it? What exciting television. Donald Trump was right about that, wasn't he?
Indeed.
Oh, it was exciting television, and I've been just as excited and appalled by some of the so-called analysis in the aftermath. Clear that most of those doing the analysing haven't even bothered to watch the full 53-minute interaction, because it wasn't just the last 5 or 7 minutes. And it wasn't just the 53 minutes, it's everything that has led up to that. And Annalise Nielsen just did a very good bit of analysis on Sky News, and it's one of the rare ones that you see in this from the Australian media, because
Yes.
it is such surface level, born so much out of ignorance. If you've been paying attention to US politics over the last 4 years, certainly the last 2 years, nothing that happened should surprise you. The US's position, Donald Trump's position on Ukraine, has been clear for years, and the polling in the States backs that up. The American people do not want to fund this war.
Yep, that's
now,
right.
you might say that's not morally correct. We don't agree with that position. That's fine, but that is their position. They don't want to pay for this war. They want Europe to pick up the slack.
But
if this
I think
war
you
is
hit a
going to
really good
continue.
point there, Reza. The point is that you can still support Zelensky from a moral point of view. Russia should not have invaded.
Well,
you
of
can talk about
course.
the whole background, and that's a separate thing. But James, you don't invade another country, so that's fine. Russia should not have invaded. But there's only two ways forward.
Yeah.
One way is you stop the war now, you draw a line, and you stop killing. The other way is one side has to win that war. Well, no one's going to defeat the Russians. You're just not going to do it. Maybe, you never know, in some fantasy novel you could. Alternatively, could the Russians defeat the Ukrainians? Probably. The reality is the war has to stop, and Zelensky was a fool not to take that moment, not to grab that moment and say, this is it, let's finish the war, James.
This was an absolute disaster for Zelensky, and the evidence was the Ukrainian ambassador to the United States was face-palming during the press conference, because the whole conference, Zelensky's sitting there fidgeting. He wants to make a statement. This is Trump's press conference. Let Trump do his thing, but to try to argue your point, and J.D. Vance didn't provoke this. Zelensky provoked it by trying to argue the case in front of everybody. You do that behind closed doors.
And it's interesting you say that, because it's almost like a microcosm of the war. Who provoked who? Who started
Right.
it?
But
Who said diplomacy first? Who said this first? Who said that
They
first?
had a deal that was being worked on that was enormously advantageous to Ukraine, and for some crazy reason, Zelensky decided to renegotiate it in front of the world's
Yes.
media in the White House, knowing the positions that Trump and Vance have on this entire issue. It was extraordinary, and I do wonder whether it was calculated or whether it was just him
Well, there are those
losing
who are
his
saying
temper.
that the White House calculated
No,
it.
there's zero. If
Trump-
you watch the full 53 minutes, I don't think any sort of sane person could say that, because he was goading them repeatedly,
Yeah.
and Trump was uncharacteristically diplomatic for a good 40, 45 minutes, sort of letting things go. And even J.D. Vance let a lot go through to the keeper until it just got too much.
Yeah.
And one thing we've got to talk about is, again, morally, of course, Russia is in the wrong, Putin is in the wrong. They should not be invading a smaller country. They should not be taking advantage of the weakness in the White House at that time to do that. But we've also got to look at the reality that, as you said, Ukraine isn't going to win this war. We know that. So what are the options? And even some of the most ardent pro-Ukraine experts have clearly said there's three options. Either you give up and give Putin what he wants. Obviously, no one wants to do that. Or you continue this war, and if you actually want to win it, if you want Ukraine to win it, you've got to commit forces. You've got to commit ground forces. You've got to
And
commit
you've
a
got to
lot more
go,
arms.
as Donald Trump said, you've got to gamble
Who's
with World
going
War
to do that?
III because
Well,
the
it's
Russians
gonna-
had nukes.
It's probably going to
So-
spark World War III. And really, all those European countries who are coming and posting, tweeting about their support, even our own Prime Minister, are you willing to send troops?